I would submit that a lot of you who think you're still in love with your ex are actually just attached to your ex, and that is creating a lot of suffering, not understanding the distinction. So I want to share it with you. First of all, let's start with being in love with someone. I mean, it's such an amorphous, subjective phrase, but what happens is because of our influence of rom-coms and fairy tales and language like The One That Got Away, The Love of My Life, Soulmate, Twin Flame, when we have any really strong emotion about someone, we feel like they have a grip on our heart, or they give us butterflies, or we can't stop thinking about them, we just use the word in love, or we just really like spending time with them when they're healthy. That's going to be our go-to phrase. Well, it must mean it equals, those feelings equal being in love. But a lot of the time, what we're actually really talking about is an attachment wound and being attached to the person, which is much more quantifiable, data-driven, and changeable. And this is really important because if you are sitting in the, I lost the love of my life, I lost my soulmate, I'm still so in love with them, that's a very stuck place with very, very little agency. That's a very scary place to be in, to think that that's what's going on, that you've lost your twin flame, when in fact what you're really talking about is something that needs detangling in your nervous system and in your belief system. So again, not sexy, not glamorous, and changeable. And that depersonalization and that more scientific critical thinking perspective, subconscious reprogramming perspective, which is a lot of the work that I do with my clients, is something you can actually take control of and not feel like you're just screwed, basically. So what do I mean by still being attached? Well, on a nervous system level, what I mean by attached is when we're in a relationship with an insecure dynamic, or we might have gone into it secure, but perhaps there's a lot of intermittent reinforcement that happens, and emotional blank and manipulation. We can start to feel like our nervous system requires this person in order to regulate. We use them to co-regulate and to keep us feeling emotionally safe, even though in a lot of ways they usually didn't keep us safe. But our nervous system starts to think that we need them in order to be regulated. And so when we don't have access to them anymore after the breakup, that can cause those feelings of, oh, I must be so in love, when in fact what we really are is simply attached in our nervous system and really dysregulated. The other thing that happens that makes us feel attached is that our romantic partners reinforce a lot of the early beliefs that we pick up from our caregivers, from our environment, from the nurture that we experience or the lack thereof. And so we will end up with core wounds, core beliefs like I'm not good enough, I am not seen or heard, I am not worthy, I am not chosen, I will be abandoned or rejected, whatever it is. And then often we have a subconscious comfort zone around that. So we attract that in our romantic partners, and they kind of become that caregiver role, reinforcing those beliefs. So we feel like we need that person to tell us that that's not who we are. We need the romantic partner to tell us we are good enough, we are worthy, because that's what we really wanted from our caregivers. So not only do we have a subconscious comfort zone attracting us to those kinds of people who kind of bring that out in us and mirror that and may even say those things to us, but then it's like this double whammy, because then we want them to also make it okay and to be the person who's going to make us feel better about ourselves and our worth. And this isn't anyone's fault. But all of this also changes your neurotransmitters. It changes your brain chemistry when you're going through this. And so for all of these reasons, we become attached to someone, but it doesn't mean we're in love with them. And it doesn't mean they were that special, that irreplaceable. It doesn't mean that they were your twin flame, your soulmate, the one that got away. It doesn't mean any of that. It's much less sexy. It's much less glamorous than that. But that's actually where your power and your healing lie. So let me know if you have any questions about it. I'm taking a few new clients going into September. So September and October. So you can book a free call with me, right? Literally the only link in my bio. And let me know what you guys think.